All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today at RHE Podcast. This is Isaiah Diesel, joined with a very, very special guest, Amy Newman. And
Woohoo!
Amy, can I ask where you're calling out of?
Sure. I am. You mean like the area?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm kind of like the DC-ish area, so it's kind
Actually,
of
I'm referring
crazy
to
to actually.
zip code and address. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no,
Uh,
it's that I actually started doing, or at least I was until it got really cold out. I started doing a street epistemology show, and
oh,
people were like, "Are you traveling to the Capitol just to film this?" And it's like, no, I can just. It's not very far. Just go to the Capitol.
so there's a pretty strong cold freeze going through. We just had a vicious one come through here in South Korea. I've never seen a blizzard like that before in my life. So how's the weather out there right now?
So I think we can kind of share that, except for the past few weeks. The past few weeks, it has actually been decent. It has
Oh,
been in the 50s. Other than that, though, the past few months have been pretty brutal. It's been really cold. But so
all
we're holding on to, I guess, the past week. So, though, if I tell
right.
this to my co-host in Florida, he's like, "Oh my God, it's basically a new ice age. It's about to hit 50." And I'm like,
Yeah. Well, we're technically still in an ice age right now because we have ice on the planet. But before we get started, we like to have a friendly fire round. So are you ready for
Sure.
this?
I'm ready.
What you got to do is answer these questions as fast as possible and don't give
All
any
right.
speeches. Just answer them quickly, all right?
Okay.
Knee-jerk reactions. Here we go. You ready?
Mhm.
Oh.
Friendly fire.
Mhm.
That was actually my voice, if you can believe it or not.
Really?
But okay. Yeah, they were distorted. But okay, here we go. Amy, what is your favorite 80s band?
Oh my.
Fa- fa-
I'm the Queen.
Queen. Oh, yeah, there you go. Queen. All right. Good call. Here we go. What
You can
what
see how
country would
fast the gears turn already.
what country if you could die in one country, what country would it be? Not the USA.
Not the USA.
Not the USA.
Antarctica.
Is that a country?
It is. I guess it's a continent. You're right. Am I cheating by doing that? I was
You're
trying
cheating.
to
Okay,
give
let's
a
just
non-biased. See,
that
I
just tells me you don't like people. You don't want to be around
can
anybody
I
when you
tell
die.
you why that's such a hard question for me? Like
Mhm.
everyone in my family would be like, "You're supposed to say Israel," and
Really? What's that?
and because I come from a Jewish family, or that
Really?
should be like the easiest. Oh, there you go. See, Shabbat Shalom.
Sh- Oh yeah, and it is. Well, Shabbat there. Okay, never mind.
But that is a hard one for me because as an atheist, I always want to say you can bury me anywhere afterwards because it doesn't matter. I'd rather just let my body just be used towards science, or I've had cool ideas like get my bones tattooed and put it in an art display or something.
You're crazy.
Um,
You're crazy.
yes,
I did say quick answers though because we
I
got a few
know.
more.
Yeah,
Here we go. Here we go. Your favorite chick flick of all time? Not The Notebook, because that's everybody's. Not The Notebook.
I'm gonna jokingly say 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I guess I did. Is that a chick flick?
Oh, that is most.
I don't know.
So to any a guy might not say, but if you ask, any feminine person, they're gonna sweat.
I'm a good Christian boy, so I don't watch stuff like that. But okay, I did see The Notebook. Notebook is pretty good. All right, and last question.
The Notebook is good. If you're looking to cry, The Notebook is a good movie.
Okay, and last one. Last one is your favorite fast food.
I've been really partial to Wendy's. I will say that there's like a chicken battle right now between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes in my heart that kind of has. I can't eat. I'm not supposed to say Chick-fil-A.
I
But
know. I was going to say you probably. That's surprising. You would even eat there.
Well, my joke for years has always been when I'd go there, I'm like, getting me some anti-gay chicken. However, it's fried chicken, and so
Right. Yeah, actually, we don't have Wendy's here in South Korea. And I was literally just yesterday, I was just thinking about Wendy's because whenever I was in college and I would somehow get my hands on $5, that was like back in the,
well,
I'm not sure if they still have the 99-cent menu there, but I used to go there $5, get like 5 different menu items. Oh man, I felt
will
like
say that is because unfortunately, I'm a fast food junkie, and so I'll eat at McDonald's, I will eat at Burger King. These are, of all the questions, these seem to be very meta to me. And the reason why I'll go Wendy's is because you can still walk in there with $5 and walk out not being hungry. You can still get a 4 for $4, which is 4 different items. They'll give you chicken nuggets, fries, a burger, and a drink. And if you upgrade for the $1, you can get a bigger burger, the double burger or a chicken burger or a...
Oh, the double burger. That's the one I always used to have. I'm telling you, we don't have those here. But I was just in Europe and I saw one and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually looking at a Wendy's right now. I did get to eat some Taco Bell, so that was nice. But okay. So Amy, I'm wondering if you could just give me like a 1 minute introduction about your spiritual walk or lack thereof. If you could just kind of break that down really quickly for me, not going into too much detail.
Sure. If you're talking about my religious journey, I was raised in a secular Jewish household. My dad is a physical therapist and my mom is a jeweler. And the joke is she's a Jew who sells jewelry. What's that?
I say because
exactly. You beat me to I can't help it. We'll get to that. I have built-in jokes. Like we will eventually get to being transgender. And my name was not. I did not change Newman. It really was. That really is what it is. But so I was raised in a secular Jewish household. My parents eat bacon. Now they eat turkey bacon because my dad's a health nut, but that has nothing to do with Judaism. And so my mom sent me to a conservative Hebrew school. She said, if you ask her to this day, she'll just say, I just thought I was being a good Jew. And so even though I went to a public school through the K through 12 and all the rest, one day a week, Monday nights, and one day a month on Saturdays, one Saturday, which was sometimes more painful than the 4 Mondays. We would go to Hebrew school and then whatever the sacred prayer thing was. And so I learned olive bet vet, gil with olive, hey, money well spent. And so they do what I would call are the Sunday school, the Friday or Saturday school, depending on which Abrahamic religion you are, is, they do the nice versions of the Noah stories and the Adam and Eve with the leaf where, Adam's face is like, and stuff like that. And
did Adam have a belly button? Did Adam have a belly button? That's what I want to know.
Oh my, that's a good question. See, now you're starting to sound like
like he wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't need a belly button. Oh, yeah. I'll give you the much odder question that I have. Someone named Friendly Muslim. He'd always come on. He would say, "This is the nipple apologetic." or counter apologetic, I always say, which is, my question is, why do men have nipples?
Maybe God made a mistake there, so you never know. But
Could
but I
be.
guess you've never believed in God without
So,
being active.
well, no, I would actually say I was a theist. I would say I went to it. I have only a single prayer that I remember, and it's the most stereotypical of all prayers, is that I was raised at a time where if you asked what we were doing, if you asked my mom and dad, they would just say out. I don't think parents would do that anymore, but we would just go out. And so I had a key, but if I did not have that key, I was not allowed out of the house. And so for some reason, I had lost that key. And I was just sitting in there in my my room, praying to God, saying, please, God, please, I need this key. And the question I always get from theists is, did you find that key? And
Sure.
yes, I did. Now, that does not mean that God
Yeah.
answers prayer. I always say, at the same time that God helped me find my key, someone might have been getting leukemia or something like that. I'm going to cough. Give me 1 second.
Right. I get that. So, I actually have you ever? Did you do the birthright to Israel? Is that curiosity?
I 100% had that birthright, and I didn't use it at all because religion was not that important to. It's like this funny cycle in like where I started out semi whatever religious, I became like a nothing, and then I became eventually an atheist, and I became kind of an activist in it. And so, what's up, Jordan? God helps you find keys, but an amputee is out of luck. Exactly. And so, because it is the number one thing I always get. Well, they said, well, he answered that prayer, so why did you stop? And it's, but I didn't really have. I was just going through the motions. I believed because that was what everyone told me. I didn't know any differently, but at the same time, I was way more into Super Nintendo than I was the Torah. So it was like this.
For me, it was Sega Genesis.
Yes,
I was a Sega Genesis guy.
Sega Genesis is a good one. You got your Sonic.
Yeah, we won't go there. We won't go there because that's a whole nother battle right there. But so okay, so
and so well, I will say the one cool thing I learned, and then I'll say how I moved on through. The one thing about synagogue I always like to say is that I had a friend there who, and we would play, we would have, like I said, we'd have, I think it was Game Boys at the time. And so we knew at a certain point that like, there's certain holy prayers that are so holy that they lock the doors and no one is allowed in and no one is allowed out. And so if it's like a 3 to 30 minutes of prayers, it's like, oh, we're locked out. I guess we're just going to have to walk the compound and go do whatever we want from now on.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Any chance you've ever seen Religulous?
Yes. With Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, yeah. That used to be my favorite movie whenever I was an atheist. But he talks in there about like being at a young age, like very crudely. I think he says he would have served any god that allowed him to masturbate more. And so I think that as young people, though, like we can get dragged into church. Like for me, my parents forced me to go to church at least like 5 times a week. So you can get dragged into. Yeah, my parents are ministers. Probably part of the reason why I became an atheist in the first place. But you can get dragged into church and you can be forced to sit there. And but it doesn't mean that you're gonna enjoy it or appreciate it. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
You ever see Nip Tuck?
No, I know of it though.
It's that's actually like a soap opera that guys can actually watch. Guys can watch it, girls can watch it, non-binary people can watch it because they would like it ticks the box of like everything that both sides would like. But anyway,
It's got
I
a little bit
digress.
of everything. So does Avatar. I'm a James Cameron fan, girl. No, not many people are. I need to stand up. No one needs to stand up for James Cameron.
I saw it in 3D here in South Korea. It's pretty amazing. But anyway, the point being is that one of the guys in there said, I'll never forget this line. He says, trying to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do is like trying to get someone to eat a sandwich that's made out of poop. He says, they may do it, but they're not going to like it, and they're not going to like you very much after they do it. And so that's what people, I don't know, I have a daughter now, and so I'm very cognizant about not shoving religion down her throat the way that it was shoved down my throat, because it just really turned me off to it in the first place. So I went down my own.
Probably do the same thing. I get asked a lot. Like if I don't have the Catholics pray to Saint Anthony. Oh, I know that. I know that saint well. So because my sister-in-law is a Catholic or a Catholicish, and that's all she would hear from her mother. I have just prayed to Saint Anthony. I have this. I don't know why, but just pray to Saint Anthony, which is pretty close to what my own mother sounds like. But yes, for some reason I didn't know. I didn't know about saints. I didn't know about Catholics and Protestants till way in my 20s. All of that sort of stuff. There you go. I'm also, what's up? It's a Rex. I'm in love.
Catholicism is polytheism extra. That's hilarious.
Well, let me tell you, that's not an accident that all of the different now the word has left me. Saints, the different saints have this little bit of almost a polytheistic bent to them because it's coming from generations of people who have had, basically they're like, listen, I have been giving silver or whatever my prayers. I've been going out to sea, and I want to come back safe. You need to give me someone to pray at sea. And they're like, okay, well, we'll have this big G God up here. But like this guy was like, he was one of us and super cool, and he died. And so we're just going to make him that. Thank you.
Right. And if you remember in Religulous, Bill Maher actually goes to he goes to Vatican City, and he starts interviewing some priests there, and he finds out that in the case of emergency, Jesus was the 10th person that they would actually pray to. So there's a bunch of other saints ahead of it. Mary being number one.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, Amy, I do want to transition. Pardon the pun. I do want to transition to the actual topic.
I say that every time that someone says the word transition, and I'm on there, people have to hold a face like they don't want to bring it up, and I'm just like,
oh, so you're okay with humor,
Oh yes. So
okay.
I've been meaning to go up. This is the month. Technically, it's going to be February. I'm going back on stage. I am a stand-up. I consider myself a comedian. We've just been doing, I guess we kind of consider what we do the improv version on our show, but of the debate community, excuse me, if that's even a thing, we like to think of ourselves, oh, my props are in the other, but I could bring in here, I have a million props and all this other stuff. I become bit by, or I was bit by Carrot Top in the 2000s. And so
I actually got to see Carrot Top on my honeymoon. My wife and I, we went to the Luxor. And I believe that's right. So I can't remember. It's a long time ago.
I'm going to ask you, and I think I already know the answer, but how would you like him?
Oh, I have never been in a place I've never seen a comedian where my stomach literally I felt physical pain from. I mean, I was like, I'm not saying this lightly, Amy. I had physical pain, like my stomach hurt afterwards because I was just. Yeah, and you know what's funny? That guy's been shot on a lot by a lot of different people.
That is why I'm asking that. I think it's just I'm a fan of underdogs. Like I'm realizing, I like James Cameron. I'm a fan of Carrot Top, and I like Nickelback. And
James Cameron's not an underdog. That guy has like 3 of the top 4 movies of all time. How do you consider that an underdog?
Well, can I tell you?
Come on now, man.
No. Okay.
Amy, you're really losing me before we get into the actual topics of this debate. Come on.
Now hold on a second. Now, you can say that. You can say that he's not the underdog. And it's easy right now. You're like, he just made $2 billion, okay?
Right.
But you know what? I have heard the past 10 years, it is just, what's it called? In space. It's Pocahontas in space. He doesn't actually know how to make a film. They have shat on Avatar, for a whole decade.
Actually,
And then what happens is he releases a film and everyone goes, oh, were we making fun of you? We didn't mean it, James. We'll come back. We love it. I didn't know Carrot Top was available.
Right. All right. So I'm going to tell you a couple of jokes and we'll get into, because speaking of vampires, what's a transgender, or where does a transgender vampire live?
Where? Transylvania.
Hello. Come on.
There you go. And hey, transsexual Transylvania from Transylvania.
I'll be here all week. Be sure to tip your waiter. But okay, last one, and then we'll actually get serious here because I'm trying to be serious with you. It's actually a serious topic. But what is a transgender person's favorite argument for the existence of God?
Oh, I already know this. I can see this coming. So. There's only one. I'm going to ask it because I would ruin it. But you want me? Because I'll say it. In fact, I'll do it. What is it? It's the transcendental argument for the existence of God.
No. That's completely wrong. No.
Easy? Oh.
No. It's nothing because transgender people don't believe in God. So, but joke's on you. No, but seriously, let's
got an argument with theistic trans women, so and probably men.
Really?
I would actually. I have got, and not only that, I met a Muslim trans man the other day who was drinking alcohol, but he was cute, so we'll let that go. That's the whole point.
Okay, all right, Amy. Let's take 3 deep breaths and out. Let's try to focus here because we do actually have a very serious topic here at hand. And we are going to be talking about the transgender issue. And you focused?
I'm focused. My body is...
But on your, I'm not sure how old you are, but when I was a kid, they used to say, put on your thinking cap. But okay, here we go. At what age did you realize you were transgender?
So I didn't know the word transgender until way off into high school. But I knew... that I was a feminine human being way in preschool.
Okay. So that's interesting. I've heard this from multiple different people. You probably hate this woman, but are you familiar with Blair White?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Can I do my Blair White impression?
Yeah.
You're the only one who could maybe appreciate this. All right, are you ready? I need a way low cutter top for this. That's all. That's the entire... It has nothing to do with her politics. But I've just seen her shake her tatas in front of camera.
Okay. But I've heard her say something very similar to this, that she knew something was different, but she didn't have a name for it. And I do want to say this. I do want to say this because I am a cisgender male Christian, not a WASP because I'm Mexican, so I can't really say I'm a WASP. But I will say that. Wait, what?
Oh, I said just be you.
Just be me. So I'm a MOSP. I'm a Mexican Anglo-Saxon, no, a Mexican Protestant. But anyway, MP, got to shorten that. But I will say this, that I did grow up with some like gender dysphoria and some kind of a BID, which is body identity integrity disorder. And I do know something that that like this is not something that like people would intentionally choose to do, because some people think that like, oh, it's just a choice or whatever. This is not something that you would subject yourself to, because I can tell you how much pain and heartache this caused me growing up.
Can I tell you where
and
that comes from?
please.
It comes from a misconception. It's almost like it's both a gloating and something sad at the same time. We have progressed so far in society. We're not there yet for getting, everyone equal under the law and things like that. But we have progressed so far that the people who are prejudiced against people like the LGBTQ, they think that it actually gives us social clout. They're now like, you become transgender and you're just the belle of the ball. Life just becomes so amazing for you because you're the hot topic. When really it's like, I always say there's no family or no parent that I can think of where you would come to them and they'd be like, Mom, Dad, I have gender dysphoria. And they're like, yes, whoo, we're finally going to get invited to the bakery sale. Like it's kind of like it's a laugh or cry moment, because it's not, they have this impression of us that we come out and then we rule the world, when really the coming out, the dealing with family members, the when you're dealing at Thanksgiving, when you're looking at the mirror, and just very both big and small, those sort of things, that they get that sort of impression. It's the same. I hate to analogize it, because there is no proper, and when it comes to that's okay. I like dad jokes.
I'm a dad.
There you go. Then I'm gonna completely forget what I was talking about, but you should appreciate this.
Sorry.
I don't know if you are into a specific topic, but do you like sports? I am very much into go local team. I'm into them all, whether it's the ball with the stick, the ball with the throw, or the ball with the feet. Go local team.
Yeah, not really, but I was just in Europe for the World Cup, and I gotta say, for the first time in my life, I actually have an appreciation for soccer, or as they say, football, because, yeah, I definitely saw, when I studied a little bit about it, I saw how difficult it actually is to score a goal. And if you think about it, like, you could watch a soccer game and it could be like 3 or 0-0. The final game was like 3-3 with overtime.
See, that's exciting though.
But I saw how actually difficult, they broke down the science of how difficult it is to actually kick in a goal. Mm-hmm. And it showed, like Messi, for example, he had to kick the ball at the angle and the speed he hit it at. He would have had to have aimed it within like a blade of grass. And yeah, it was pretty intense. But anyway, don't want to talk about sports too much. But let's get back to other question.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is. I was in the Arc de Triomphe the night before, in France, the night before there was the last game, and I swear to you, Amy, there were probably like 1,000 cops, and I mean they had so many people out there just waiting for something to go down.
I'm very sympathetic to that, because I am from Philly, and we riot when we win. And so it's a
In
little.
fact, you riot when you win. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. In fact, okay, since we just talked about it right now, I'll go ahead and add it right now. I'll add a video into that right now, but I do want to get into the next question. But what has been the biggest challenges of transitioning?
So I could break that into a few different.
Mhm.
So one of the biggest challenges was accepting it. Was I kind of had two different sides to me. It was like a yin and a yang, but in an unhealthy version.
Hey,
It was almost
Yin yang. I
like,
got the yin and the yang right here. Can you see it?
oh,
Did you see that?
you
got
may
the-
have to hold it down for just because of the camera. Now I can. Yes.
I got all the world religions tattooed on me. I was
Hey, well,
anyway,
and that's
I'm sorry.
what I
I'm
was.
sorry to interrupt.
No,
I'm sorry to
just
interrupt.
if I ever do adopt kids, that's what they're going to learn. It's not that they're going to learn like how to be atheist. It's that I would probably teach them all of the world religions. I think in the back of my head, I would hope that they do become some sort of secular or whatever the hell. But if they decide, I'll love them no matter what because they're my kids.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah.
yes. But so it felt like there was a masculine here and a feminine here. And it
Mhm.
felt like I had to drop one to be the other. And I'll say, even after I had came out, and even after I was full time, it was very hard to tie like what I would consider the tougher aspects of me with the very feminine aspects of me. And so that was definitely one big one.
I'm just curious. Do you consider yourself non-binary?
I don't. I am a transgender woman, and the way I slice that is because when it comes to roles, I think I'm over the 50% line when it comes to feminine.
Mm.
Not going to say I'm 100% feminine. I don't really think anyone is. But
Yeah, nobody is.
But I
Nobody
still
is.
think that because I am closer to 60-40 or even 70-30, that it just makes it easier in a social context for me to be in the female bucket. It doesn't mean that my chromosomes change or that my sex has changed. It just means in the day-to-day life to function and go about, to just make it easier on people, to like, it would actually make it more complicated for other people if I was like and once again, I'm just making, it's very arbitrary, but if I was a 70-30, if I was presenting feminine, and yet I really wanted everyone to identify me as sir, I feel like that would actually become more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like, and so it becomes, in some ways, that's what I think that some fundamentalists on some far want me to do. I think that they don't understand what that would actually entail. I think that would become a bigger pain in the butt.
Right. And let's try to watch a profanity. I don't want to get demonetized because I could.
That's funny that you say that. YouTube is very weird.
I know.
I'm heavily monetized, and we curse a lot, and we have almost never been. We've only had like 3 or 4 episodes we've ever been demonetized from.
Well, I average like a couple hundred views per video, so I might lose like $1. And we'd send out $20 gift cards. I'm gonna send you out a $20 gift card for participating, but I don't want to go too much in the negative for this. I'm sorry.
But I completely understand. But I like to think that
Stupid joke.
Moving
on. Let's just get to the next.
I've also been guilty of a little bit of gooberness, and so
actually, okay. okay, I gotta say this. When I first saw you online, I thought this person is extremely, extremely mentally unstable.
Oh,
I'm like, there's something wrong with Amy Newman. And I'm just being honest because I'm Christian.
no,
I have to
you're
tell the truth.
okay.
Okay. But then I started listening to some of your debates, and I'm like, holy Christ, this person is really, really smart. As I told you online,
Ooh.
I told you in Discord that like I'm a fan of yours because I've heard some of your debates, and like you are extremely logical. You're an extremely
Thank you.
well, I'm not done. You gotta
Oh,
wait, gotta wait. Extremely logical, extremely intelligent, and research person. And I'm not saying this to try to gain points with you. I'm telling you, I saw some debates that you were having with Christians where like I thought you mopped the floor with them. So I'm like, okay, maybe, and this is just the case if you're straight or cis or whatever you might land. Like some people just have like crazy, quirky personalities, right? So I've come to understand that maybe you're just like a outgoing, like crazy, like and maybe some of it is show, maybe some of it for YouTube, maybe some of it's for clicks, but maybe that's just part of your personality. So that's fine as well,
so I still want to stand by what I first said. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And
Yes.
I would say I am a little bit eccentric. I'll tell you.
Mhm.
I'll ask my partner because I sometimes I've been like, am I different? Like on camera, I'm like the same person. She says the only thing that's different is my voice. She says I go into announcer mode when I'm live, and so
Yeah, right.
apparently, um, this is like my radio voice. However,
Uh,
everything else, because I like all the hand motions and all this, that's true to I can tell you about my aunt. My aunt she's a super genius, but she has paranoid schizophrenia. It was love at first debate. Thank you,
so
Torno.
so okay, so Amy, is this true? Is it true that you are also like intersex?
Yes. Here's how I parse this out. I have like this weird thing where I can only talk about me being intersex while I'm on voice. Because whenever I tell someone and someone in text or I get into like early fights
Oh,
with
okay, okay,
Christians,
okay, okay,
I
I got
get
it.
the same thing every time. It goes, "You're not intersex." That's what all the trans people tell me. You just want to use that as an excuse. And I'm like,
What?
okay. And at that point, I am both. I really am. It's not you can't. Some people probably are just one and not the other. In fact, if I didn't have gender issues, I would still be intersex. I would just be I guess a straight. Well, that's a whole nother thing. A straight something male. My parents
Right. What
gave
are
me
you straight? I don't even know what this gets so confusing because
Oh
if you're
no,
dating a woman, I'm like, what are you
well,
bi or
yes, but I'll tell you, but she's a transgender woman. But I have dated biological women, I've dated biological men, and I am very bisexual. Sometimes they call it pansexual. That gets into the weeds sometimes for people. And my joke is always, I very much date anyone who is into non-stick. And so bisexual.
okay. I have to say this from interacting with a lot of males who have tried to gay sex me. It seems that like a lot of guys, I don't maybe guys would be more so inclined to do this than women, but it seems like a lot of guys might be willing to go both ways if it wasn't for social stigmas. Because I'm
Oh,
straight.
actually.
Let's just clear the air on this. So I'm not talking about me specifically. I'm straight myself and cis, but the amount of like straight, or the amount of presenting straight men who have had tried to hit on me, who have kids and like they see the earrings and like I don't know because I will.
I was on a debate, or not a talk show
Huh,
the past week. And I'll save his name. His name was, in fact, I'll change it. His name was Fred Family Man,
mhm,
but his last name, but it was Family Man, and he was
uh-huh.
talking about this virus, and it was mostly going over everyone's head because it was a very mild conversation. But about 30 minutes into it, like, I just know that this tends to be tied to an anti-gay argument. Like, you get this virus and then you turn out to be gay. And so,
really? Wow.
Like, yes. Now, this isn't what happens is in cats, and in some of this, what happens is promiscuity increases, and they try to tie promiscuity. And there's like rat experiments in the rats that enhance, and they try to tie this to you can get it in humans, but this would be like cordyceps being. I'm sorry, The Last of Us it hasn't happened yet. The virus.
Yeah, this is like
jumped.
This is like Alex Jones, and he was talking about turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, yes, this is this type of thing. And so I just asked him, I just very kindly, because it was like 6 other straight white male atheists on me, just having, and I'm like, hey, you know, I know we're talking about viruses, and it's been very mild, and you're a nice guy. You haven't had any gay experiences, right? And like, that was like a pin, because it was like very, very downhill to like, at a certain point, my favorite statement, he had to like deadpan the longest pause I've ever had like on a YouTube. And he said, listen, semen, highly addictive. I was just like, is it though? Is it though? I don't really think it is. But here, once again, Fred Family Man. It took a little bit for us to get there. But that's always what happens. And to answer another question, guys have never, a lot of guys, okay, they have never been sought or swooned. And the moment that happens to them, I would like to see them, like the moment, because all it takes, like you say, is someone else to say, hey, kind of cute. And you're like, really? I am? Yeah, you mind if I buy you a drink? I mean, I like drinks. Why not? You're telling me I'm cute. And they're like, well, I'm straight and all, but I mean, right. I like the attention. And all of a sudden, you're saying things that sound very much like.
Actually, Amy, this isn't part of one of the questions I had for you, but it makes me think about it because any chance you've ever heard of a channel called Jubilee?
I know of a Jubilee just because of the apologetics. That
no, not
the year Jubilee.
No, it's not that. It's an actual channel. What they do, it's similar to my channel, but they actually have people who watch it because nobody watches my channel. But okay.
Oh.
But the point is that they have
and subscribe out there.
Thank you. Yeah, here we go. But I'll put it on here for a second. But the point is that they have excuse me, there it is right there. You can visit our website. They have people who have different views and sit down and have talks very cordially. And one of the things that they did was they had like this talk with transgender people. And excuse me, one of the questions was like, is it difficult to date? And excuse me, this might get a little bit controversial right here, so brace yourself. I felt so much pain for one of the girls, a transgender woman, who was talking about how there's people who are quote unquote trans chasers.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, well, I want to excuse me, I want to ask you about that, but excuse me. She was talking about how that's difficult because it really does bring me. I just want to let you know, it really does bring me pain to talk about these issues because I've gone through some of these myself. I probably can't understand everything that you've gone through, Amy, but I know what it's like to not feel comfortable in your own skin, but to just be confused about things in life and to feel like you would be rejected for those things. But anyway,
I can't help but, if you don't mind, later on at least asking you a few questions just on that.
Yeah. I'll definitely let you unpack it, but let me finish where I was going with this train of thought, and then you can get back to that. But the point is that I I felt so much pain for her as talking about being objectified by I don't know if you call them straight men or trans chasers. To she was talking about like wanting to be like get to know the person or go to a movie or something like that, go to dinner, and this person was only just interested in things like what they would like to do to them. You know? And you talking about being objectified, it's hard to think about being more objectified than that. You know what I mean? When someone doesn't see you as like, you know, doesn't accept you for who you are, but just what you could do for them. So
Well, it
I'm
takes
wondering if you had any,
something that could be a positive and it makes it go the other way. So like you
yeah.
want to be accepted, you want to feel pretty and like any other feminine human being. And then or if you're a T man, feel like a masculine. But it becomes this weird fetishized thing where it's like, do you only like me for this? Are you only dating me because I am this? Because, you know, I am this whole complex creature. I'm into this. I'm into this. I do this. I want to not only date, but I would highly recommend long-term, healthy, you know, relationships, whether it's monogamous or polyamorous. I still think that long-term is, I wouldn't say the best, but I would say that I find a lot of fulfillment from it. Woohoo! What's up, Banana Booey?
Yeah, Banana. I'm not sure if you know that person, but this podcast is just about RHE, respect, humility, empathy, matter of having conversations respectfully, honestly, empathetically. I've talked about it's really uncomfortable, Amy, for me to talk about my past gender dysphoria because it was a source of a lot of conflict growing up between my mom and I and other members of my family.
Sure.
And and as a Christian, if I sorry, pardon the I'm
No.
borrowing some of your vocabulary.
Trust
If
me,
I
I'm
present
not upset for language you're using. I'm upset at the situation you're stuck in.
Right, but if I present empathy or compassion for people from the LGBT plus community, I'm seen as condoning it as I think that it's okay. But on the other hand, because I might not be totally okay with it, the LGBT plus LMNOP community also doesn't like the fact that I'm like, well, you know, I'm not totally okay with this, but I totally understand people who are going through the situation. So it's like either side that you try to, you know, either if you want to be honest, if I'm going to be honest and not wear the cloak of like Christianity, and that I follow this perfect set of rules that are laid down in the Bible, or that I don't have inclinations or tendencies that make me uncomfortable, and that I really would not, if I was given the option, would not choose to have these inclinations. It does cause some kind of cognitive dissonance in my mind, and it is a
See
hard.
that? Well,
Good.
let me parse that in a few ways. Well, first, I want to just say hello to the person, not only in chat, but he said he Googled Patriot. I want to just make a connection. Hey, there's my band. What's up, Marshall? Sending love.
Oh, Mark. Oh, don't say her name. This is one person who has helped me overcome a lot of my transgender biases, but I don't want to name them.
I think that's the new name too. If I'm not mistaken,
well, we're working on that.
Oh.
I like Marcel or Marcelia. We're working on that one. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll call people whatever they want. Take my
okay.
I guess I feel I want to say to that word, just the word patriot, because obligatory heterosexuality. That I kind of have problems with maybe the nationalist term, but like when it comes to patriot, I'm much more comfortable around. I feel like there are things worthy of being proud of in these secular societies within the.
I like Marcellia, but okay. I digress.
Now I'm
This
just
is a
imagining
conflict.
I'm in a
This is a
dress with
conflict.
like.
She wants to go by her dead name, and I think it's inappropriate. I think a name change. But then again, I shouldn't be talking about what they're. Never mind. Never mind. Shut up. I'm going to shut up. Go. Keep going.
I see. I keep on wanting to explore. I am going to probe it. But what I would say is there's 4 things that I've learned to talk about. There used to be only 3. Now there's 4. That it doesn't matter that I'm LGBTQ, all the rest. These 3 things are important, and now 4, no matter who you are. And that is traditions, random things that we make important for really no other reason but to make them important to us, and the next 2 words, which are family and community, because those are generally the people you share the traditions with. And so I think that not only do religions often do them well, if not they're the only good things that religions do, I think that we can do them better. The only thing I add on there, the 4th, is culture. I always say we have culture. Richard Dawkins termed the coin meme. And who doesn't love good internet memes? I say internet memes because he gets pissed when he's like, why are all of them? They only say memes.
Hold on.
He doesn't
Hold
know
on.
why. Mm-hmm.
Hold on, because Dawkins was like one of the atheists. They called him one of the horsemen, and I consider him an atheistic prophet because I consider atheism to be a religion in its own right. But
I disagree. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, that's fine. We could talk into that. But he got a lot of shit. He got a lot of shit for saying things that, honestly, for me as a Christian, I've said before, and I got to say that some of this is genuinely out of ignorance, Amy, because I live in South Korea. Hold on, let me finish. Because I moved back to America, and I went to a Christian conference, and they made a transgender joke, and I didn't even understand. This is literally speaking. I didn't understand the joke that they were making because I was not aware that this was going on in America, and I was just totally ignorant on this topic. And so a lot of this that exists between people can genuinely just be out of ignorance. Sure. And so we are demonized among this community if we aren't, totally down or 100% affirming, as you guys like to say. But if we have questions or concerns and we want to make those known, it's like instantly assume that we hate transgender people. Like, that is definitely not the case with me. Because 1, I know it's a real thing. I know it's a real thing. 2 is that whatever we think about anybody is that these are real people. These are real people who have families, who have loved ones. And so we need to approach these situations with love and care and understand these are real life situations that affect people. But go ahead.
Absolutely. There's 2 different roads for a situation. And generally speaking, it's all about intent. I mean, there are sometimes there's no right or wrong word for a trans person to choose their name. Some keep their name, some choose a variation on their given name, some change to a completely different name.
I apologize for that, Marsh. I prefer marshmallow because marshmallow are gender neutral. So let's just say that.
I think my brother calls me A. I don't know this 100%. But he called me A even in my dead name. But sometimes, so I don't know. I'm always gonna be whatever they want to go to. But that's interesting. I want to get to eventually. I want to get to that to yours because I'm actually you're open with it. I find that the ones who are not open with it, the ones.
I love you too, marshmallow.
That's cute. I had a thing also before that I want. It's all about intent. Okay, when it comes to a given situation, there are sometimes in 7-Eleven where I look at the cashier and I don't know what their gender is, and I have to take a guess, and I have like a 50-50 shot, and that's going to happen. It's not whether we get things wrong. Now, in that moment, that should be all either a teaching, or if not a teaching, a moment of clarification. It should be, hey, I go like this, but I'm actually, or you saw me like this before, but I'm actually this, or whatever it is. At that moment, people have to make a decision. That person, in my opinion, needs to say, and it's not about transphobic, all these other words, they want fancy words they want to use. Are you going to be an asshole?
Right.
It really is that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if the trans person, I will say, it's got to be a mutual back and forth. If the intent was not there, like say you and I were at the 7-Eleven, we both misgendered someone. It is up to them, hopefully, and it's hard to be the better person and to not get angry at us and make it a bad situation. So hopefully what they should do, and it, like I said, not always easy, they should correct with hoping to make a connection. And then once you give that ball over, like I said, at that point, because I'll tell you, there's a difference between someone going like, sir, and how are you doing, sir? Because they're conveying, like they know. So it's all about the communication, the situation. If that makes sense.
So, okay. So I want to say this, Amy. By the way, do you mind if I ask you your dead name? Oh, it's okay if you don't. No problem.
I don't mind that question. I'll tell you the reason I don't give it out there.
No problem. Please answer.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, and I'll give you a funny anecdote with it. Because it's complicated. Because one, I don't think my dead name is ugly. I think it's a handsome name. I keep it. I don't say it because it allows people to guess when they hate me, and I love them guessing. And that is part of the funny thing.
Don't answer, because I'd feel really uncomfortable knowing that if I put you in.
But I'll give you a really funny anecdote, which I feel kind of proud in. Not many people can say this. Okay. So there was once a really toxic apologist, just a lay person, no degrees or anything, on YouTube. And they spent.
Is his name Darth Dawkins? Is his name Darth Dawkins?
No.
Okay.
Though this person is toxic in a different way, but kind of that is a toxic individual though.
Right.
However,
Gary. What? I mean, if my name was Gary, I got a pretty cool name. If my name was Gary, I'd probably want to go by Darth too. I'm just saying. I'm trying to empathize. The point of this podcast is empathize. But if my name was Gary, yeah, I'd probably go by.
Probably want to think that your name was something cool like Darth.
See, my name is Diesel. Diesel is a really cool name.
Well, that is a cool name. That's what you put in your truck.
Sorry, please. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, and this person, they felt really insecure about themselves. Very specifically, they spent $500 and they bought, or maybe $150. Who knows if they bought the personal or the business class? But they bought a Cameo, where you can just hire. If you don't know what that is, it's where you can hire celebrities, just to do whatever you want, really. And so they basically did a personal attack. Basically, they paid Gilbert Gottfried to read a bunch of ad hominems and basically attack this person's family. And I
Oh,
was
not you, not you.
What's that? And it was pretty horrific. And so what I did, calls himself Diesel, rides a scooter.
Actually, I have a bike right now, Marsh. I've not had a scooter for a few years. Okay, I have a bike. I'm poor. Yeah, I have a bike. Okay.
Also, if you ever want to buy them a gift, they sell like cat marshmallows.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Continue. I love Marsh, by the way.
And so seeing this, I was like, holy moly, that is kind of horrible. Right. They wasted all this money. You can't use it that much, only in this like one situation. And so I was like, you know what? I took some of the Patreon money that I had and put in some of my own money, and I hired Gilbert Godfrey. And I wrote a script, and he did this whole thing. We have a skeptic Bible study, and so it's basically him roasting us, which is way funnier. And I have Gilbert Godfrey saying things we put up our butt, which makes me laugh every time that he says it.
Hey, Amy, PG, please. PG, there's Christians watching this, man. My dad might watch this.
Oh, sorry. I still keep on saying
right.
I will say
PG-13. PG-13.
Exactly. I try to be, my joke is always, I'm the cuddliest version of politically incorrect. I like to say I don't have a filter, but it's generally to tell people that I love them and they're amazing. And so I hired Gilbert and he roasted us. It's one of my proudest memories because I got to give Gilbert a script, and because I paid for the business class and he actually read it. But however, this is where it gets on topic. The first time he did it, it goes blah 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 blah, and go visit Andy Newman's Patreon. My heart dropped, and I was like, "Oh man!" And I had to actually ask Gilbert Godfrey to redo it. I was like, "I'm sorry, Gilbert. You are a legend among legends and amazing."
Didn't he die though?
He did.
Is he dead?
He is dead.
Okay.
That's what makes this even more surreal, is that I have worked with Gilbert before he died. That would be even more surreal, I guess, if I worked with him after he died. But
yeah, well, that would prove that God exists right there, right? But anyway, okay, let's move on. I do want to say, Amy, like, let's be very clear. I don't want you to tell me your dead name, but if you told me your dead name, I wouldn't dead name you on purpose, okay? Now, I accidentally dead named Marsh because of the fact that she didn't talk to me for like 3 months. And so when I came on and I mentioned her, then yeah, of course, because I have no information on that fact, yeah, I dead named her. And atheists like absolutely lost their shit on me, man.
Really?
Because like, oh, you're dead naming this person. Da, da, da. And I'm like, okay, it clearly was not on purpose. I apologized. Okay. The point is, though, is that I would never intentionally misgender or dead name someone on purpose, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, good.
Well, that's where, just in my 1 or 2 scenario, where you are where you are number one, where you made a mistake, but then you had no intent into it, or it turns out it's not really even a mistake because they are actually going, but the atheist thought it was a mistake. And so it's hard. I mean, a conversation, a social situation, all of them, it takes 2 to tango. And so it's just, you know, they like to show the people who dislike us. They like to show, well, and I'll say both sides do it, unfortunately. The people
neither's right.
What's that?
I said neither's right to virtual signal.
Oh yeah, well, it's always nice to signal to people when you are actually on their side, but you should actually be there when it counts, when it actually matters. And so
yeah, I actually agree with that 100%. Yeah, I actually do. Actually, because I'm writing a book right now about I'm like 95% done with my 3rd book on racism. Really? And I do talk about that. Yeah, I do talk about, yeah, I got a lot of great material actually being in the UK this last month. But the point is that people really jump on people when they might say something that might be like maybe racially insensitive, but they completely interpret it as this person is like totally racist or biased or bigoted or whatever, you know? And
Well,
so
I can parse that. I parse that out in a similar way. Once again, now I'm in a weird bucket if we were really to come on race, because my joke is, if you want to know my race, it depends on what the person's political ideology that I'm talking to. It's very complicated.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And so when it comes to that, it's that, just like, this is how I'm going to preface it. Just because someone says something stupid doesn't mean they are stupid. Just because someone says something racist doesn't mean they are racist. We should correct them. It's the persistence of it. Once again, it's between number 1 and 2. Christians, yeah. Well, I mean, I think Doorknob Head and I will agree there. Not like Diesel here, who is amazing. However, I have found that a lot of times, I mean, if it's argument a la ooh, like argument a la this disgusts me, it's like, that's not an argument. Like, lots of things disgust me. My joke is always like, reality TV disgusts me. When MTV doesn't play music, or when the History Channel talks about aliens, I'm like, these all offend me. But
you realize how far? Hold on. I take 3 deep breaths, Amy, and let's try to refocus our minds. I had a feeling this might happen with you because you're a little scatterbrained like me. I'm very scatterbrained. But I
do have ADD. I was once asked by Darth. My favorite thing is that when he asks people derogatory comments, and they're not really supposed to be, but
his name's Gary, by the way.
Gary. When Gary was like,
you're dead naming him by calling him Darth. That's a dead name.
That's right. Do you have ADD? I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you. And sometimes he'll be like, excuse me, do you have autism? And the person will be like, why, yes. Are you trying to use that as an insult? The microphone just been very silent.
That was, out of all of the many things that I've seen him do that it's been totally inappropriate, was that whenever he went after T Trump for being autistic. That's horrible. I called him out. I wound up getting blocked by him eventually because I was calling him out on the way that he was treating trans people, which is absolutely horrific. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. Let's go to number 3. Have you wished that you were cis?
5-star. Got you.
So, Amy, you're a riot, man. Either way, I think you're totally off on the God and other issues, but I mean, you're a riot.
Well, thank you so very much. I feel the same with you. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, because at first it was just about feeling feminine, and then I went through this weird stage where when I was on the cusp of coming out, I was dealing with all of it. I was going to, I think it was probably at the time of therapy. And my biggest thought at that time was like, I hadn't been thinking about my genitals surprisingly at all until right before I was going full time. And I'm like, if I'm going full time, that means I need to cut off my junk. I need to get rid of everything. And it's one of the only times I think I've really was like, I just wish I was a bio woman. It just
right.
So much easier. And it's been like this weird come around where I no longer, I don't know if I would choose to be a bio woman. It has its ups and downs. I like bio women. I think they're amazing individuals, and we should be supporting them politically and all the rest. And especially when it comes to certain issues, real spicy. But we should, I don't know. I like who I've come to this point where I tell James W., my co-host, and others, to me, it was like character selection. It took me many years to like who I was inside and out.
Mhm.
But then after that was done, it was like, okay, well, heck, what am I gonna do now? What can I actually go out? And that's where I think I got more interested in religion and science and philosophy. I think some people are surprised. I sometimes get flack from, I used to say I hate identity politics. Then I get flack from some of my more, I don't know what to call, because now I kind of view myself more liberally, but more leftist. They would say, well, all politics are identity politics, and so you shouldn't be hiding from it either. And so I've kind of come to some middle ground where I think that it's a healthy, important part of who I am. I should be proud of it in the sense of like the same way that all humans, I think, should kind of seek to find a self-security. It's not like I know some super hard conservatives, religious, they go, why would you be proud of your sex? We're not proud of being straight. And the way I'd parse that out is that, yes, it's not about being proud about being gay. It's more about being proud of accepting who we are, all of those challenges. And then I agree, once you do that, it's about becoming proud of, did you write a book? Did you write music? All the rest. That's what you should actually be seeking, the type of proud that they are trying to espouse, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I will say this. So
say it.
Okay. So, okay. Are you familiar with the transgender woman by the name, and I don't know her first name, but her last name is Montoya. She's Latina. Pretty popular on TikTok.
Maybe. I don't know why that sounded more like a Disney Channel star, but
Montoya, Montana. No, not Montana. Definitely not Montana. Montoya is something.
Montana. Gotcha.
Not Hannah Montana. Definitely not. She's pretty straight, I think.
Also, I'm pretty sure it's been many years since that was on the Disney Channel. I think I did.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I saw a video where she was explaining if she would be cis, and she was like, no, I'm exactly what I was born to be. And I thought that was interesting.
Sure. I'm kind of on that path. It took me a while. Once again, some people listen to this and they go, oh, well, are you saying you're just a feminine man and not a trans? Well, and I always say, well, you're really going into some semantics game that we were trying to avoid anyway. The idea is...
Oh my God. Whoever said this, Marsh, you're going to hell twice. Twice over. Anyway. So, okay.
I do not think it means what you...
I do not think you know what it means. Yeah, that's funny. Right. So anyway, God, I cannot think of her name right now off the top of my head. But anyway, I thought that was interesting that, because I'll tell you this, I'll just be flat out in saying this, Amy, is that this causes me some cognitive dissonance as a Christian. Because yes, I do believe in God, and yes, I do believe he created man and woman. But on the other hand, like, you simply cannot deny the fact that people exist who are like you, either intersex or transgender. So this either has to be like a total screw up by God. I know you don't believe in God, but I'm telling you how I process this.
I get you.
I either have to say either God totally screwed up or this just has to be part of his plan. And I'm not saying that I know the answers 100%, because part of this podcast and just part of my life, living 10 years overseas, is understanding that there's a lot of things I don't understand. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to process information, but as frail human beings, we're at best processing 1% of the information out there in the universe. So I try not to be dogmatic in my views, but on the other hand, it's just understanding these are issues that affect people, humans, people who are part of my species. And so as I talk about these issues, and I've been accused maybe in the past of not being sensitive enough, I'll totally grant that. But I don't know,
You sound
just
like
the way.
a nice guy. Everything I've heard so far has been, I'll say, right on topic with the channel. Very empathetic.
Yeah, but I mean, the other side of that coin is that, like, Amy, out of love for you, out of love for every transgender person who's struggling with themselves, like, I just say I would be lying to say to you that I think that this is the best thing for you, you know? Now if you choose to go down this route and this is something you're going to pursue, I have total respect for you as a human, as an individual. And if people want to bully you or attack you, I'm going to be there right beside your side, you know? But I couldn't in good conscience say that I think that this makes sense to me, you know? Does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Yes, it does.
I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can.
I 100%. I can't help but think it's coming from a specific source because it has to be kind of prefaced from, as the Bible says, and
Okay.
and so I guess I hate to. Can I ask the question?
Please,
One or two that I've been having. You said you had gender dysphoria and body integrity disorder. Can I just explore that? What do you mean by that?
Sure. Okay. We're probably going to definitely get demonetized right now, but I mean, that stemmed from, unfortunately, having my sexuality developed at the age of 5 in a way that it shouldn't have been, you know? And it led to a lot of confusion and a lot of, confusion. And I will say something else to specifically considering talking about BID, just body identity integrity disorder, which is people who have it normally want to like amputate limbs from themselves. For me, it was it had specifically to do with hair, okay? Because I couldn't grow like body hair, okay? So when I say this, I mean I used to pluck out all of my body hair, and I couldn't grow body hair. And I will say this, like if I went out in public and I realized I hadn't shaved or plucked out certain body hair, like I wouldn't be able to concentrate on school or work or whatever. I would be focused on that the entire day until I could go home and shave. So I will tell you this very frankly, I still shave my body right now. Like I don't have body hair anywhere on my body. But the reality is that it doesn't dominate my life. Like I could have hair or not have hair, and it wouldn't make 1 ounce of difference to me. I choose to shave my hair because I prefer that feeling, but it's something I got ridiculed a lot for, and something that my girlfriends, even my girlfriends would say like, hey, look, I don't care if you shave your body or not. It's the fact that you can't exist without this dominating your life, you know? And so for people like, for example, people like Blair White, when Blair White, I know you probably hate that person, but
no,
when
I
she
don't hate her at all. Oh no, I feel like my impression of her is very neutral. I'm on 2 teams, and I'll tell you.
Hold on, let me finish.
Go. Yeah, go.
Because she talks a lot about how in her most extreme forms of body dysmorphia, like she couldn't leave her house. And so it's like, yeah, if that is what you're struggling with, and this is the only thing that is going to cure it, then yeah, I'd actually be totally down for that. You know, like as a humanist, I would respect that decision. Now, do I think that's the best decision you can make? No. But on the other hand, it's like, I understand that this is a real thing, you know? I totally understand this is a real thing. And it's not something that anybody would make up or do for attention or just because they have nothing better to do. Just they want to disrupt the society or their lives.
There are easier ways to get attention than
Right.
basically, not always, but basically losing all of your friends and family structure and all that. And oh yeah, I suffer from that. I am half werewolf on my mother's side, and so it grows. Oh my god, it grows so fast. And I have to get my eyebrows plucked over and over. But I
hate you. You have some really nice hair. I just want to put it out there. Go to hell.
Oh, but okay. See, I'm jealous of my partner though. They've been like, I haven't shaved my. They're like, I haven't shaved my face in like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, 2 or 3 days? Are you kidding me? I have to like shave off the 12 o'clock shadow.
Right.
Though it gets better now that I have hormones and they get lots of laser and electrolysis. Right. I cannot go outside without either my face is shaved or I have my face on. Like, this is what this is because everyone always, it rather stings. Oh my. Unfortunately, when I shave you. Yeah,
8 to 12 hours.
That's basically
okay. And if I don't get to this next question, I feel like I'm gonna be talking to you to December or something. Next December. But okay, we've got to get to this because I could probably talk to you all night. And I'll let you come back to some of the other questions you're asking me if you want. Let's at least try to get these out there. But what do you wish that people knew about being transgender?
And I was thinking about this beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
What I wish that people knew most about transgenders is that the politics when it comes to women and children is ad hoc. It has been created, it is new, and that these fears, in my opinion, have been created because they can't attack us just as regular transgenders anymore. Like, they have lost so much ground that they have to start every argument like this. Of course, we're going to accept transgenders, but let's talk about this small thing here, that they may be important. I'll give you examples: the bathroom, the locker room, sports. I'm trying to think. The most important one, the most shocking one, the drag queen story hour. These, in my opinion, have been combed over, scoured over, sought at by reactionaries in a way, to use the word that I think they believe that we push, in a narrative.
Grooming?
Yes, I'll give you an example of this. And we'll take the scariest situation. Generally speaking, there was someone somewhere in San Francisco that was like, oh my God, we have $1 billion. We actually have funding at our schools, unlike the vast amount of majority of America. We're just going to get these drag queens to come into our kids and read a story about acceptance and love and positivity. And so they come in and they read a story and they go through and they're wearing these crazy, to the conservatives and fundamentalists, it's just drag queens to us, but they're wearing these outlandish makeup and they read the story and it's and with that, Johnny knew that he shouldn't steal toys from all the other kids. The end. Or they then take the picture of all of that, and I know they'll say, well, there are kids books out there that say Johnny has 2 parents, but almost always, even in those books, it's always about the love and acceptance and friendship message. So they get that, and they then go and put it in the newspaper, and they go, look at this. It's a bunch of drag queens teaching your kids about sex, and they want to groom them, they want to recruit them. That, I would say, is one of the biggest misconceptions. It's just like I have been transgender for longer than a decade now, and only now are we starting to talk about transgender sports, because they can't attack just being transgender anymore.
Amy, are you in school right now?
So that will, unfortunately, that's always a complicated. I have finished my main undergrad and graduate work. I am actually in like a health biology class off onto the side on online schooling, because I'm like addicted to taking schools right now. But the main schoolwork I've taken, because I owe the government $100,000 or more.
Ouch.
No hablo español. Mexico looking good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think is being a YouTuber, does that count as like an actual job?
Well, I will say that once you get monetized, you do have to sign a W-9 and all that. So the government, we are considered working for the TOS and the YouTube or the Borg.
The YouTubes. So okay. All right. So where to take this one? I think. I genuinely think that I really think that people should try to have empathy when dealing with people who might have different views or different orientations. Because any chance you've ever heard of the story of like Aaron Hernandez?
I don't think so.
So he was a football player worth millions of dollars, and he was engaged and had a child, and turns out he wound up killing some people, and it turns out that he's probably doing so to try to cover the fact that he was gay. This was before any gay NFL player had ever come out that they were gay. But yeah, it's a pretty disturbing case, man. He wound up killing multiple people. Part of it was he was trying to overcompensate for being like extremely masculine, because it seems like football is like the one sport you could play where like you see someone playing football, you're like, oh, there's no way that guy's gay, you know? Because traditionally it was only like the extremely fairy, effeminate type of guys who would come out as being gay, whereas now it's like more acceptable, and people are realizing there's actually a lot of guys who would beat the living shit out of you who are actually gay as well. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
but this wasn't.
It was easier to quote unquote pass back then as a straight looking gay man, or whatever you want to call it. So if you're more effeminate, you kind of gotta come out in a way, because everyone already knows anyway. And so, yes.
Right. So anyway, the point being is that there's been a lot of books written about this guy. Okay. And guy had millions of dollars, everything he could humanly ask for. Women throwing themselves on him, and nice house, nice cars, nice everything, millions of dollars in the bank. But at the end of the day, this guy was like homosexual, you know? And so it wouldn't have mattered how many women you could have thrown at this guy. He literally just was not attracted to these women. And in one of the books that I've read, it talks about how, this is so unfortunate to talk about this story, but there's a Netflix documentary called The Mind of Aaron Hernandez you can check out. But it talks about how in one of the books I've read, that he would like get drunk, and he would have to get drunk to like have sex with his partner, and because he had no attraction, and he would literally like stay out all night so that he didn't have to come home and be in the same bed as her. And I think, objectively speaking, the amount of damage that he did by trying to pretend that he was heterosexual, and even cheating on his partner with women just to totally throw people off, I think he objectively did more damage in the world than had he just been homosexual, you know?
Apparently,
So it's like
Whitney
our thing.
Houston.
Because if you presented me a book and you said, okay, Isaiah, you need to be gay, and you need to like Western women, okay, or Western men, I have something for Asian women. It's just it's vice. The vice is an attraction. And if you ordered me to have some attraction to something that I wasn't attracted to, it would cause a huge conflict in my life, you know? And I might go along with that attraction. I might be gay, like in a relationship, but that wouldn't change my underlying attraction, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, I have like a lot of sympathy for people who are like that. They're like, hey, they didn't ask to be gay. They didn't ask to have these attractions. They didn't ask to be born like they felt like they were born in the wrong body. Nobody asked for that, you know?
So
So,
Whitney Houston was supposedly, or at least from her lover, she was gay, or at least bisexual. Whitney Houston.
oh,
And
I didn't know that.
so
Yeah.
she had a early girlfriend, and one of the things that her dad basically told her, was go out there and be seen by men. And so one of her downfalls was was meeting that guy instead of actually with her.
Oh, you talking about Bobby Brown?
Yes, Bobby Brown. So she would have never met that guy if it wasn't for her dad pushing her away from women.
I have to look into that. I've never heard. I'm not denying you, but I've never heard anything.
So it's just go watch. It's the new Whitney Houston movie, which is is a very gay movie. Very gay movie. Did not know, but gay from almost the get-go, from the beginning of the movie, because just her girlfriend is like her manager assistant, and
Really? Wow.
yes, and so and then this assistant wrote a book, which I think a lot of the movie is probably written on, and then Bobby Brown is also quoted as saying that if they had stayed together, that she'd probably be alive today.
If they had stayed together?
Not with Bobby. He's talking about, he thinks that the pressure from her dad and all this stuff. Well, the drugs probably from Bobby.
I
think he was. Yeah, I knew nothing about that either. But apparently, yes, she was very bisexual. And she had to hide it. That wasn't acceptable because she sung some gospel music. Yeah.
Do you know this person, by the way, Doorknob Head?
Oh, I love Doorknob Head. Doorknob Head is from. I did a shout out before. I was like, "Hey, y'all, we're doing some fun."
What's her name?
And
do you know?
Rubik's is gender binary. They identify as they, and so they them, and so sending love to all of them out there.
Yeah, I think they wrote something about like, oh, this is Diesel, because. I mean, Amy, I got to tell you this from the atheist community, because I genuinely believe a lot of the thinking is very cult-like, but they have this imagination that like, unless you agree with 100% of like the LGBT plus community, if you're like a 75% ally, then you're just an enemy. And unless I agree with everything that you guys stand for, believe in, then I just hate you guys, right? And that's not at all the case. It's not at all the case that I have any hatred towards any human, let alone people who are LGBT plus. Okay, but I mean, that being said, I have been accused of some pretty ridiculous transphobia and homophobia, even though this podcast like supports, an anti-bullying with LGBT plus campaign online, which will make a donation in your name after this podcast. But I have been accused of like being hateful because I disagree with something about you. Like, okay, if you disagreed with the fact that I'm a Christian, you think that I'm wrong about being a Christian, okay? I would say, okay, that's fine. You have your opinion. Has nothing to do with whether or not you hate me, that's a total disconnect, right?
I think we both think on our religious views we're wrong, but we don't. Besides that,
Yeah.
But friends and everything, they think they're wrong all the time. People break bread. I think that is the whole said in love, Purple.
Yeah, Purple's supposed to come on the podcast. I would love to hear their story.
She's
Yeah, I would
another
love to.
amazing, not only person, but content creator. Go sign up for Purple Rhymes with Orange.
Yeah, we supported. They were doing a podcast raising money for her car.
Really?
We supported that. I made a donation.
That's
There was a gay atheist blogger. Okay, someone who I should definitely not be down to support, but I met him online and I was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they came flat out and said, "Well, I'm not doing very well because my dog is getting ready to die, and I don't have the money to put it down or cremate it." And RHE podcast raised all the money for that. We actually even sent him out a computer because he blogs from his phone. He doesn't,
Hells
you know.
yeah.
And so it's like, it's a very, very, very unfortunate thing because people in the atheist community have said, well, if I'm not willing to go along with everything that you say, then I hate you. Like, where do you make that jump from? And I do want to transition. No pun this time, but we will transition to this last point. But
I will say that I just want to parse out that although atheists are often pro LGBTQ, generally not generally, they can be anything. They can be liberal, conservative, they can be communist, fascist, anarchist, everything under the sun. And so what I'll find is that a lot of them are allies of the LGBTQ because, in my opinion, and I'd like to know this of you, very nice, I find that a lot of the baggage of disliking the LGBTQ comes from religion. Not always, but I do notice that it's a lot of the baggage that drops. And so I guess my question to you, I'm going to keep on being spicy.
Please do something. I put you on the hot seat, so yeah, go ahead.
How much of your view on the LGBTQ is affected by your Christianity?
Honestly, I wouldn't need to crack open the Bible to say that there's something fundamentally like wrong with this. Okay. And that's, again, not to any kind of hatred, not towards any kind of, I want to see harm to guys.
But before you go on, hold on. I just want to ask, though, just for clarification, what do you mean that there's something wrong here?
Well, okay. So, I'm married to a Korean woman with a wife and, child. And to me, it seems like that's a natural, a family unit seems most complete with a man and a woman rearing a child, and having that balance of what a man and a woman could offer to a child, because I see my wife. I'll give you one example. Like, it's Korean tradition that, like, the first year of a child's life, the mom doesn't leave the child's side at all. Amy, okay?
Sure.
And so
sounds like a Jewish mother too.
After like 3 months of my wife not leaving my daughter, I was like, Sue, here's $100. Go get a massage. Go get your nails done. Go do anything. Go see a movie. She would not leave that baby's side. And after about 3 months, I finally got her to leave the baby for like 2 hours. And it took like 6 months to where I could convince her to just go to a hotel and like chill out, Relax. And I could tell you this, if I had to do that, either me or that baby would have been dead, because there's no way I had the kind of patience and maternal instinct that my wife has. And so I see that, and, I have to do what I have to do to provide for my daughter. which is sometimes meaning traveling hours and hours and hours on end to find work. And I do so very, very, very happily and very eagerly. But I don't think my wife could pull that off by herself without my help, you know?
Sure.
And so I see it as good.
Well, no, I just want to go over a few of those points. I like that the very ending I thought was sweet and wholesome, but I have to take it back because first I want to ask, are you familiar with the naturalistic fallacy?
Naturalistic, yes, I am.
Okay, so I guess I would ask you if you do you think marriage is natural?
Natural?
Yes.
I believe marriage is the hardest, maybe not, because it is probably the hardest thing that I would probably say it's the hardest thing that any human being would have to subject themselves to. In fact,
Sure,
I'd probably almost say you'd have to be
natural?
insane. You'd probably almost have to be insane to do it because it's damn hard. Yeah, it is. I would be a liar to say that I have a perfect marriage or that I'm totally happy, especially being married to a Korean. It causes a lot of conflicts. Yeah, I will say that.
Sure. So I agree with you, but I'm going to keep on pressing you on this because you said that marriage was hard, and I would say that brain surgery is hard.
Okay.
But that doesn't make it natural.
Okay.
And so I guess what I'm pointing out to you that what you like about marriage is that it's non-natural. It's actually the quite opposite of where we began. It's actually that we're doing something that is not often in nature.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I would also press you on most of the Old Testament, most of the prophets, or a good portion of them, they have many wives. There's nothing technically about the Bible that is monogamous, except for the cheating part when you're actually in those marriages.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just a side note, God never says there's anything wrong with it, but I think anybody who would subject themselves to being told to clean out their garage 3 times on Saturday by 3 different women, yeah, probably something wrong.
So
Sorry, that was a stupid joke.
No, it's not. I see, like, I agree, like, of all the wholesome stuff that you, I guess this is the easy position that you said, all the wholesome stuff that you said, the being there with your partner and that she really didn't want to let him go. You basically had to buy her a vacation so that she could calm down. All of that stuff, I not only like, I relate to, I think it's the human experience. I guess all I would say, I would almost make a conservative atheist position because that's kind of what marriage is. They don't look at it that way when you're maybe from a religious view, but I think marriage is a good thing. I think that we should support long-term relationships, whether they are straight or gay. And then I like to say it backwards, whether they're gay or straight. What? Because sometimes I swear one side or the other, they only hear one thing. And so I think that we should support long-term relationships. We should support not cheating. We should support being open and honest. We should support raising your children and being good, supportive, loving parents with them. We could have all of that good stuff and just keep the empathetic version of it without any of the bad, I guess, is myself.
Yeah, Amy, and I completely 100% don't even pretend to think the heterosexuals do that and homosexuals can't. I don't believe that for 2 seconds because there's obviously some really shitty heterosexual parents and there's gay parents who I've met who take care of their kids and who love their kids to death and would do anything to help their kids. So that is a fallacious art. And I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying all things considered, all things, this concept in Latin, ceteris paribus, that or parable, that all things being considered, this is the realm in which that's most likely to happen. Now, I mean, I'm sure there are non-binary parents or trans parents who are wonderful parents and who would make much better parents than some really shitty parents who are out there who are straight or cis. You know what I mean? So there's no connection there. I'm not making that connection at all. Be very clear about that.
And I would say exactly the only thing that should matter is that they're being loved by parents who will take care of them and hopefully one day help them become functional members of society.
Absolutely. And I believe, I may be wrong, you may be BSing me, but I believe you're a functional member of society. Seeing people like, sorry, getting back to her again, Blair White, that Josie, do you know that Josie, she's an actress, she was on Saved by the Bell, she's transgender. But seeing people like that, seeing people like, what?
I feel like I should.
Yeah, you probably should. But seeing people like that, like who are able to function, actually one person who really did that for me was Transatlantic show.
Transatlantic Call-In Show.
Yeah, the girl from UK. What's her name?
Oh my goddess. I should know
Katie.
this. She's up and yes, Arden and Katie. Yes, Arden and Katie.
But seeing her talk about her life and how she's able to function and be in a band and, you know, be middle class and everything, seeing things like that, I think is really helpful for your cause. You know, calling people like me a transphobe and saying that I'm hateful.
Well,
and
it's
that
funny. I don't even use that word. Even I'm not saying you ever were, but even if someone's being transphobic or homophobic, I don't use that because what ends up happening is people end up fighting about the word. They end up fighting about was what I said transphobic, was what I said homophobic, when it should be, I'm going to keep on going to it. Were you being an a-hole? Were you being a bad person? If your intent was to be bad and it was to communicate it, you shouldn't be surprised. If you're like going around, yes, exactly. Also, I have to let the cat in while we're reading that, but the natural.
Yeah, I'll be back in 1 second. Hold on.
And so the naturalistic fallacy is just, we often think because we're sold food, we're like, we want the best natural food. You know, you don't want the GMOs and all this stuff. And so we naturally just think what is natural is good for us. However, that logic can fail in multiple ways. For example, arsenic is a completely natural forming poison that we should not be drinking, even though that's natural, and open heart surgery is not. Open heart surgery or brain surgery, any type of that, is an artificial means. However, it is something good. We want open heart surgery. You don't want open heart surgery when you don't need surgery. That's probably bad. But yeah, that's how I parse that out.
All right. So, Amy, we're supposed to go an hour, but we're almost at 2 hours right now. So I do want to get to the last question. As I said, I could probably talk to you till next Lunar New Year.
I just want to do the end of 2 quick stories, and I promise you I'll get there fast.
Please.
The religious one is that I went through all the Hebrew school, and then at 12 or 13, I made a deal with my mom, which was if I get bat mitzvahed, I will never have to do anything religious ever again. And so in my head, we shook hands, we made this deal, and she was able to, happy cry. Oh my God, they're becoming an adult, which is like, yeah, they're becoming a teenager, an adult. Sure. I'm playing Pokemon while I'm being an adult. And then I went through like this just years of, I guess I was an atheist, but I wasn't in anything. I wasn't like a Christopher Hitchens type of atheist. I was just doing stuff. I was going to school and stuff.
Right.
Slowly through YouTube, through arguing on all sorts of messaging boards and stuff, I got into, I guess, theology, or rather counter theology, and I started to really think deeply about the subject. I probably would have paid way more attention in Hebrew school now than I would have any time for that. And so I eventually got there. And then with the being trans, it was in preschool. I went along until in the middle of high school. I had a gay friend who I think turned out to be bisexual because I think she has a kid now. Nonetheless, she was the first person to use the T word. She said, because I was trying to explain to her, I'm like, I'm a lesbian. And she's like, and I'm like, no, I'm a lesbian. That's when I first used that joke, but I actually meant it. But I was like, I'm a lesbian in a man's body. It's the first time I started using that. And she was like, no, you're transgender. I'm like, what is that? And at the time, I guess not just her, I really did think that I was just a gay woman. And so we left high school, went off to this. I moved away when I became 18, away from all of my friends and everything, all of the pressures that I had, and to the middle of nowhere, this rural place where I was just working at a grocery store, and I would just think hours just by myself. I would have all this time and none of the guys. And I just slowly, I knew what I was. And at like 18, 19, I was going through therapy. My mom had found girls' clothes under the bed. She had dragged me there. And so I remember the one day after going through, there was an LGBTQ center in Philly. And I was like, I'm going to the thing. She's like, okay, just don't come back with hormones. I'm like, okay. And I came back. She's like, you got hormones, didn't you? I'm like, yes. So I got hormones. And my final one point on this would be that even after is admitting she was a carpenter. That's right. Listen, me and Jesus, we were like, my joke is always, I always wanted to know, like, if he was a carpenter, that had to mean that someone was using a bench made by Jesus. Like someone out there was like, it's a table. It's a nice Jewish boy. He made it for me. And so I went, I picked up, even in the middle of rural, I'm like, all right, I can't really come out. I couldn't do full time on the East Coast. And so I picked up and I went to Arizona and I went to a private school and I started to do game design and all this. And I forced myself, I packed no boys' clothing but what I was wearing. And so that was my last boy's outfit on that plane. I got off the plane, and then when I changed, I was full-time from then on. And the only thing, the master of both worlds, I hero's journey everything, because I'm very much in the mythic structure, is it was coming home, finally coming to the East Coast after being full-time and like mixing. I can both like my nails painted and like girls' clothing, but I can also like camping and video games and
sports.
Like, yes, and sport, exactly. It was this combination of the
Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
And I just love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think he's an amazing individual. But yes, exactly.
Did you ever see a movie called But I'm a Cheerleader?
No.
Oh God, I've lost so much respect for you. All the respect you gave for the last 2 hours, it's totally been lost at this point.
Okay,
but anyway,
let me try and get it back in the last 2 minutes.
You really should watch it, but I saw it when I was in college.
I thought you were gonna say the movie But Boys Don't Cry.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a really good one. Yeah. And one of my favorite bands of all time, The Cure, a song by them. But anyway, it's a satirical comedy, like about gender roles and a woman coming out for being gay. But there's this scene where they totally, like, to an absurd extent, play these gender roles. And there's this hilarious scene where actually RuPaul is actually, he plays the character who says this. He sees the gay guy. He's trying to turn them straight, right? He's trying to teach them how to work on cars and how to play sports and how to shoot guns.
I know this will sound abstract, but it's the blonde lady with the ponytail. I have
Yes, yes.
seen this a long time
Okay,
ago.
you have. Okay. Anyway, he tells them, he gets so angry at them because they're checking out a guy, and he says, if I ever see you guys looking at a guy like that again, you're going to be watching sports this whole weekend. And they're like, oh no! They're really,
That'd
it's
be
hilarious.
terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, Amy, we definitely do got to wrap up now because
Sounds
I'm
good.
running out of.
We
I'm
almost
running out of.
did twice of what you said we were expecting. I'm proud
Yeah,
of that.
exactly. I didn't. That's because you've made me wait the last 6 months to talk to you. So you owe it to me.
That's true.
Well,
that is very.
let me
much
ask you this: Did you think that I was going to be like an antagonistic Christian? Like, were you?
I didn't. I will say you may have had at least one person watching in your anti-theist stream. I may have been lurking, and so I was just trying to feel. But I could tell that you, even in your Christianity, I could tell that you have. I don't know if it's a moderation, a Socraticness to you. I guess empathy. You have this empathy to you. So.
Yeah.
I could feel that even before we started. So I'm glad. I think it went the same way.
Well, it's very simple. Is that like I affirm people's humanity? You know, I may not be down with everything that someone is into. I'm not down for everything I do. I do shit. Honestly that like I can't believe I did it. I just did that. Genuinely speaking. So to hold you or anyone else to like like a perfect standard or thinking that she wouldn't be flawed or erred is like it's not reasonable. But anyway, last question.
You should watch me walk. I walk right into objects.
What are some compromising that both sides can make to accommodate trans people? Wonder if you can answer that.
Sure. I guess thank you. Respect restored. I would say that the compromise, number one, I would like to alleviate fear. I think that's the number one thing is that we have to go into it with a clear head. So we should go into every situation saying we're trying to respect human beings, whether they are a trans woman or a man, whether they are a biological woman or a man. We are trying to come into with, as Richard Madison would say, peace and respect for everyone. And so I think that would go a long way. I think that a lot of the craziness that is put forward either through alternative and sometimes even regular media, like the transgender and the gay person has to learn themselves. Like we're reacting with it. Like, because I've never had drag queen story hour. I'll tell you, my public school didn't send me to that. And I don't know really anyone else. And so you have to meet people where they are. I would say
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I would say my thing I would say to my transgender brothers, sisters, and everything in between, we have to always I would just say go by that kind of first principle rule that look for intent. If someone is made an honest mistake, that's kind of what a mistake is, as opposed to a dishonest mistake. If someone's made a mistake, then the best you can do is to correct them. You see a lot of videos out there, ma'am, you called me ma'am. And I think that's, it's the worst thing to do. Though I also understand why the transgender person acts that way sometimes, because we're dealing so much with person number two, which is the intent that is the bad intent, the sir. And so it's both parties. We got to come in trying to think that we're going to have a better conversation at the other end.
Yeah, and Amy, I do want to say this, that damn it, Katie, because I was in the UK, Katie. If you one off chance you happen to be watching this, I was in the UK and I was trying to interview Katie in the UK. but that time has passed us by now. But anyway, Katie has actually done the best job as far as this is concerned, because I've seen her interact in the transatlantic show, and I've seen Christians be absolutely, and I'll say it, I don't care if I get demonetized, absolute assholes to her. And she has responded in such a gracious way. It actually embarrasses me as a Christian, if I'm being honest, because she doesn't respond in kind and she doesn't play into their hands. She answers logically, respectfully. And I think, just generally speaking, if your goal is total inclusion, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt in saying that, because I've seen as many trans people, many trans activists who that's not their entire goal. Their entire goal is to humiliate other people. But if that is your goal, okay, you have to be willing to give a little bit of grace, as you were talking about, and understand that, look, it is positively, genuinely the case that people like me are absolutely ignorant on some of these topics, okay? There's absolutely ignorant. And furthermore, there might be other issues that are playing into this topic that you have no idea about. And maybe if you found out about, you might have a little bit more compassion from where we're coming from as Christians.
I couldn't agree more. But what I would also add on top of that, what I fear the most is losing a potential ally who just made a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually pushing them in the other direction. I think we oftentimes, although it's harder, whoever the offending party is, it's your job, the opposite, to kind of take that hit and be nice back. Now, if they are then, once again, if you have corrected them and you were nice doing it and then they still do it, there's not much more you can do after that. And it's the same way, and I feel once again, it's not always a perfect analogy, but I consider myself, with all the anti-theism and all that, I am an agnostic, atheist, anti-theist. However, although I use that label, I am more the anti-theism, not anti-theist individually. In fact, if I would defend someone, if someone's being prejudiced towards a Jew, a Muslim, or yes, a Christian, I feel like it's my duty to defend that person.
Yeah. Whenever I went to Israel, I told you I went to Israel, but I got to go into Palestine and stay at a mosque for a week with those people at a mosque. They welcomed me in. They taught me about Islam. They treated me with so much kindness, so much compassion. I can tell you, as a Christian, I'm actually embarrassed to know that that's the way I was treated by Muslims, as opposed to how I've been treated by Christians. So yeah, you got to go off of people's behavior, and that's the ultimate, that's the ultimate judge of a person's character. But as you're talking about, we're humans. Actually, my entire first chapter opens up in this racism book. It's saying, hey, everyone's going to be insensitive about some topics at certain points of times, because we all have ignorance and so on. But if we're willing to give a little bit of compassion and goodwill and understanding, that's okay. Amy, can you tell me how I can find you online?
Yeah. Also, this is just very random, and hopefully it won't be grainy, but I made bacon recently, and this was bacon in the shape of Israel. It's like my Jesus toast. Anyway.
Anyway, any last thoughts, Amy? You can tell me how I can find you.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Diesel. This really was a fun, informative. I feel like we both learned from each other from this. So I really do want to thank you for that. You can find me on the YouTubes. I am at youtube.com/Amy Newman, as well as all the Twitchospheres and all that fun stuff. I'm often with my co-host, James W., along with the whole skeptic and ranting community. So sending love out there. We do a lot of skeptic themed content. It's not always atheist. I say that because although James and I are atheists, and like a good portion of our content is roasting religion, we have many pagans, we have many deists, as well as Jews, Christians, and Muslims who just consider themselves skeptics. And so come on down. And finally, if you don't mind, please do not forget to like, follow, and subscribe right here, baby. Woo-hoo.
Wow, that's nice. You're the only person who's ever said that, so I really appreciate it. And hopefully someone will, because really no people do. People don't really like as civil as conversations as I try to have it. I try to humanize the other side, you know. I am not relatively interested in dehumanizing atheists or saying that they're like immoral people, you know, because truth be told, I'm positive if the Christian God exists, let's hypothetically speaking, if the Christian God does exist, I'm positively convinced you'd find lots of atheists, lots of LGBT plus people getting in heaven way before a lot of the people who are speaking absolute hatred. And I LGBT be damned. I honestly believe that. Like, I genuinely 100% believe that. So anyway, I do want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully you can come back again. I didn't want to press everything, and there was actually other things that you were starting to probe into that maybe we can discuss at a later date.
I'd love to have more talks.
Because this podcast, I don't like to try to say, oh, we're going to answer everything in a single podcast. We're going to answer if God exists or not on a single podcast. You know, we're going to have conversations. We're going to try to get to know each other and humanize each other because, like it or not, we're on this planet together. You know, you may like it or you may not like it. We are stuck on this planet together, good or bad, God or evolution, whatever, however you want to describe it. We're on this planet together, so we might as well try to get along and try to help each other wherever we are on this process or journey or transition or whatever. So anyway, that being said,
all brothers and sisters, we might as well work together and make the world a better place.
Wait, are you a brother or a sister, or are you a sibling? Like, come on, what is it?
Well, I am actually, I guess I
sorry. That was my attempt at transphobic humor. But anyway, thank you very much.
Also, sending love to everyone in chat. Doorknob Heb, you're amazing. Beamsy, you're probably right. You are an amazing. Pagan, purple rhymes with orange. Everyone out there.
Yeah, and stick around for 1 minute, Amy, as we get this outro, and then here we go.